Hello and welcome to This Is Sony Ponies. We did it. We galloped up. We trotted on the Xbox. They're done. Xbox is all over. At least that's what the rumors are.
Yeah, and of course, as we all know, everything that's on the internet is true. Much like whatever we say is also true. That gives us the authority to tell you that Xbox is, in fact, alive and well.
They're fine. Everyone needs to shut the fuck up.
I could not agree more. So, to back you up a little bit, about, I would say 2 weeks ago, the rumors started to percolate that Xbox was about to have a major shift. The rumors started out by discussing a lot of their exclusive games would start to go to PlayStation and PC, which they've already been on PC anyway. And then it started to escalate to the point where Xbox hardware was going to be canceled. Microsoft was going to completely kill the Xbox brand and roll it into Windows. I would say aggressive rumor mongering, and we're here to stamp it all out.
I've never seen something snowball so quickly.
Every day.
Because like it started with Bethesda might bring Indiana Jones to PlayStation. And then it's like, oh wait, no, Starfield is coming to PlayStation. And then, oh, they're going the way of Sega. And look what happened to Sega. Sega stopped making hardware.
Now we are recording this on Monday, a couple of days before there is scheduled to be a announcement of some sort to clear a lot of this stuff up. Stay tuned.
You could hear Phil Spencer just going as he's typing out this tweet, like, look, we hear you guys.
Let's break it down because there's a lot to unpack here. There's certainly truth to this, right? It's not like all these rumors are spinning out of absolutely nowhere. Changes are a-coming, my friends. Here's the key distinction. Xbox is not dying. In fact, more than that, Phil Spencer, he specifically said, no, we're still gonna make hardware. Everyone who thinks that the Xbox platform is dead, as a general rule of thumb, chill. Did you forget that Microsoft just spent $70 billion, with a B, billion dollars buying Activision Blizzard King, okay? That is an enormous amount of money. They're not going to give up, and they're not gonna just say, oh, hey, we just spent all this money. Let's put it on a platform we have no control over. That would be like Overclock Media purchasing LMG and then quitting YouTube. When you think about the Xbox strategy, it makes sense for them to make some cross-platform stuff. And I think everyone can be sympathetic to the idea that you bought an Xbox to play Xbox exclusives. I mean, that's why a lot of people buy PlayStation 5s.
We joke about a lot of the the console war. I was seeing tweets of just like, it's like, oh, if Xbox brings their exclusive, I'm gonna just get sick. You should have your hand surgically attached to touching grass.
If I can step into the Xbox Defendo mode for a second. The reasons why I think that a lot of people are upset is, first and foremost, the rumors are spinning wildly out of control.
Yeah.
And if you've been bought into the Xbox ecosystem for years and you find out that there are huge changes and maybe it's being shut down, all this kind of stuff, that's a good reason to be sort of filled with anxiety, right? So I understand that from that perspective. The other perspective being that, oh, I bought a Series X because I wanted to play the Xbox exclusive games, right? Also very good reasoning. Here's the thing. Microsoft have been making consoles for a long time. And I'll be honest, this is not the second or the third or even the fourth time that there have been heavy rumors that they're going to kill off the Xbox brand. And guess what? They never do.
It's almost like they're the #1 company in the world.
Right? Like, I do believe what will change is I think that games that have been previously Xbox and Windows exclusive are going to start going to PlayStation. That does not mean that they're going to go to PlayStation instead of Xbox. If I was good old Philly S over here, what I would do is this. I have $70 billion worth of Activision, Blizzard, King games that I need to sell, plus all of the first-party studios that I already own. I want that to be the best experience on Xbox, but I also want to make money, and lots of people have PlayStations. But that's what I do.
Here's what's gonna piss off a lot of people. By bringing a lot of these games to PlayStation, Xbox is now in a position to make more money on the sale of that PlayStation than PlayStation will be.
Good point.
We talked about this a while in the past. For a large chunk of people, they only really ever play Call of Duty. We talk about this all the time. Like, people love to throw, oh, PlayStation's outsold the Xbox 3-1. Doesn't matter because console sales don't matter nowadays. It's just to get you in the door to use their store to buy the games. Now, if Xbox owns Activision and you have all these people who are only playing Call of Duty, PlayStation's getting 30% of that through their store, but then Xbox is getting the other 70% of that.
The other thing to consider here is that the idea of cross-platform games, and specifically games that are going to go across different console generations, this is not a new idea at all. Take PlayStation, for example. Are PlayStation games hitting Xbox right now? No, but what they are is pretty consistently coming out on PC.
Almost everything is available somewhere else nowadays. So like the idea of like, oh, I have to have a console exclusive, is just a very outdated way of looking at things, and I think Xbox is just embracing that.
Microsoft got in all this trouble because, when they were trying to purchase Activision, all the rumor was, and Sony were heavily fighting them, if you give us Call of Duty, but it's watered down, it's nerfed and stuff, that's going to hurt competition. Well, it almost seems like what Microsoft doing are the opposite of that, of they're going to be offering the games on these other platforms without even being forced to.
And Xbox is the one who instigated that, of just like, hey, we promised to bring Call of Duty to Sony. It's not like Xbox is doing this out of the goodness of their heart. I'd rather make a little bit of money everywhere than all the money
a medium amount on one.
Right. I don't know why people are so against like Game Pass. There's so many good like indie games that you would never play.
Yep.
And so like all these rumors are like, oh, Xbox wants to bring Game Pass to PlayStation. They want to bring it to Nintendo. That's good for so many people.
It is.
Like, why are you fighting it? You could play infinite amount of games.
Halo Infinite?
No, well, that one's actually like
what we're really talking about here are Xbox exclusive games and Microsoft exclusive games. They're going to both PlayStation and Nintendo. And we've already known that they've wanted to do this for quite a while. Imagine a scenario like this, right? Phil Spencer decides to announce that, hey, guess what? We're going to start making games for other platforms. We're no longer hold everything locked to Xbox. If I take off my evil hat and put on my reasonable hat, what they would probably do is I would still have some kind of timed exclusive. Not that different than what Sony's doing. Sony already make games for PC. They just don't pre-announce when they're going to come out. On Microsoft, I'm going to say, hey, guess what? Here's a new thing. We're going to start pushing everything everywhere. But having a timed exclusive makes a lot of sense. That still gives you value to buying your games on an Xbox platform. And even if it's like different per game, right? But if the idea is that, hey, the next version of Halo, that's going to be on PlayStation and Switch. The next version of Forza, going to be on PlayStation and Switch. It's going to really motivate not only Sony to step up their lack of exclusivity, right? Because they don't want to be falling behind and all these people are playing on Xboxes and they can't do it. Like, imagine Nintendo can almost be like the accidental winner here. Because you know that they're never, ever, ever going to give up exclusivity. No. But guess what? If Microsoft and Sony get in this war and start posting all their games on Switch, woohoo!
The timed exclusive that actually made a lot of sense, which was that Starfield was coming to PlayStation. What I thought made sense was it was supposed to coincide with the expansion. If you want the, almost like the Game of the Year editions, like idea that comes to everything, like that actually made a lot of sense. What everyone has called this is what I'm gonna call Sega Inc. Sega used to make a lot of really good hardware. They were a major player in the gaming space. They said, you know what, we're just gonna license our games, and then they eventually stopped hardware, and now they pretty much only make Yakuza. The parallels are there on paper if you have like the most narrow vision. The big thing that didn't exist when Sega did this was the ability to make any money after the sale of a game.
True.
They're giving away Call of Duty for free because they know they're going to make billions of dollars on skins. In terms of Xbox relationship to Microsoft, that's a tax write-off for Microsoft. Like
that's like their AI server budget for a year.
They could lose money on Xbox year after year after year after year. It's so minuscule compared to what the rest of Microsoft does.
You know what probably makes more money than Xbox? Office. By a lot.
Probably, yeah.
There's something else to talk about here, right? So obviously, again, we're filming this video before Mr. Phil Spencer himself walks out on some presumable stage. I think the relatively safe assumption as we're recording this video is that we will be looking at a expansion of first-party games going from Microsoft platforms to other platforms such as Nintendo and PlayStation. But it seems also equally clear the Xbox brand is not going anywhere, hardware's not going anywhere, the world is not on fire. I think this leads us to a very interesting sort of follow-up to this, which is the future. I would guess, based on how quickly this has all gone down, this is probably going to take a while to be implemented, right? Like, they're not going to say, hey, all these games are going to be available for PlayStation tomorrow. Like, this is going to be a year to 2 year long process of rolling games out, changing launches, yada, 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 right? Even longer term than that is how this will impact the next generation. Because you could make the argument that if, they didn't care at all, they wouldn't even be thinking about next generation. While all this has been going on the last couple of weeks, there've been a lot of rumors about what the next generation Xbox and PS6 will look like.
People forget about that FTC leak that we got a while back that showed the roadmap for ideas for the next Xbox. So if they were planning on dropping it, why does that even exist? Also, there was another rumor that came out, which is particularly interesting, that the next Xbox would be a Switch-like device that would be docked. People are foaming at the mouth for a new PS Vita. And what if Xbox brings it to them first?
Imagine a scenario like this, right? where in a number of years, the next generation of Xbox remains to be a double pronged strategy. But instead of having just the high-end Series X and the low-end Series S, instead you would have the high-end Series Z, or whatever they call it. And then you also have, instead of a Series S, a Switch-style device, which is still handheld, which is still portable, less powerful than the main device, but actually at least it has a real reason to be less powerful than that. And then you've got a real competitor for the Switch 2, or almost Switch 3 at that point, Steam Deck, all this kind of stuff. You have all the advantages of the Xbox platform and the fact that it's a console that's less work to deal with than Windows, because the problem is if you make an Xbox portable right now, developers are gonna have to figure out how to add their games to it. But if you go into it from the very beginning of the generation like that, like they've done with the Series S and the Series X, you can guarantee that all games going forward for that next generation will support the handheld and will support the actual main console. Did I talk for long enough so you can do whatever it is that you're doing?
I don't like the idea of a double prong. I think it looks more like this. Here's your double prong. But like you have all these extra little sub prongs.
You've been watching too many multiverse movies, my dude.
Yeah, you got Series X and Series S or whatever, and then it breaks off and you got like PlayStation over here, and then you got PlayStation Portal over here playing cloud gaming. You got SteamOS over here running an Xbox app. You got Windows over here. It makes a ton of sense for them to keep making hardware because one, they make all the money on it if they're keeping someone on the Xbox platform.
Yeah. Can we pause and actually just expand on that a little bit? Because I don't know if a lot of people understand what you mean by that. So say you're going to sell $1 billion worth of Call of Duty. Doesn't matter, right? So just say $1 billion. If you were putting that on a PlayStation, Sony is making $300 million on that. They could take the 30% that they would be giving up to Nintendo, to Sony, to whoever, and put that toward developing their own hardware, and that essentially pays for itself. Spending $10 billion to develop a console, a lot of money. Not so much when you're spending $70 billion on Activision. You're gonna make that over a decade. Like the numbers we're talking about here are crazy wacky town.
If they can get 100% of that Call of Duty money, I don't want to say it's passive income, but it kind of is. Just the skin money alone on Call of Duty.
Can we not call it skin money?
No, the skin money alone from Call of Duty is enough to fund a lot of the R&D of the future Xbox. So either way, that's win-win for Xbox.
The very last thing I want to talk about here, because I know that we've talked a lot about stuff, is what this next generation would look like. Where we'd have like, a portable Series S style thing and an X. But we also haven't talked about is what forms these will take, because there also are a lot of rumors about, it seems like they have spent an extended period of time in maybe unsuredness. They don't seem like they have like a super clear vision, because there've been rumors that they were heavily shopping with Intel to potentially make the chips inside the Xbox next generation. There's also rumors that potentially the Surface team would be taking over for the Xbox hardware development. And all of these things to me make it seem like the PS6, while they're targeting to be, the most powerful console of the generation, yada, 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 also may end up shipping earlier, which would maybe complicate things a little bit.
Yeah.
If you think back to the 360, that came out a year before the PS3. Imagine if we see that same sort of thing this time around, where PS6 gets a full year of head start on Xbox. That would be pretty important.
I don't think they care that much, because the public perception is that, PlayStation is better. So they literally have a buffer here, like, you know what? Let him be a year ahead, and then we could spend some extra time to refine it.
The only thing that makes me a little worried about that is the idea that the PS5 Pro is imminent. Developers already have PS5 Pro dev kits right now. It almost certainly will be announced and on sale later this year. We're talking about years where PlayStation will have the most powerful console, and then potentially they'll have a PS6 on top of that.
I think a PS5 Pro is the best thing for Xbox right now. They show their hand of like, here's where our power is right now, and then Xbox to take that and say, okay, we know we need to properly leapfrog the PS5 Pro right now.
If I'm just reading the tea leaves though, and again, we obviously don't have any inside information besides what's been publicly sort of leaked and whatnot. If Sony are well underway on the PS6 and they're going at it with a very sort of hungry attitude because they know that they have to stay ahead of Microsoft. Microsoft potentially have lost some time waffling with their exact strategy on how to handle these things. If it's true that somewhat recently the Microsoft Surface team took over, that to me means that they are still in the somewhat early ideation phase. If PS5 Pro has a 3-4 year lead time on any new Xbox hardware, and PS6 comes out before that. Imagine a scenario in which we're 4 years down the line. We've now had not one, but maybe 2 brand new PlayStations that have moved the needles and the goalposts forward. And the Xbox team are working on a handheld that was popular in 2017. That's my only concern here. I understand that they sometimes need to make a strategic reset and kind of hit the brakes and make sure that they've got themselves on a good trajectory for the future. And I very much hope that that's the case. I just want to make sure that whatever their foundation is that's being laid right now is correct and designed for the next decade plus to make sure that the Xbox brand is healthy. Because I think gamers need the Xbox brand to be healthy. Yeah. Even if you're a Sony pony till you die, even if you're a Nintendo Defendo.
You can joke about like, Xbox is going away. That just you. Because get ready for $150 PlayStation games. That's what happens when you lose the competition.
Yeah.
So just accept that this is a great time to be a gamer and stop buying skin.
Is that really the
like, follow, subscribe. Let us know what you think about the Xbox going out of business sale. Are you an Xbot, a Sony pony, a Nintendo Defender?
Or here's a revolutionary concept. You could be a gamer who enjoys games no matter what platform they're on. I don't think any of those people exist.
Okay, nerd.